Welcome back, everyone, to another Mondays with Micah. I'm excited to be over here in the village. And this is the last Monday of October, and I am here with Judy Riddick. Can you say hello to everyone?
Hello, everyone. Good to see you.
And we have not talked about this month, and when I walked in, I noticed that Judy had her pink shirt on, and I said, do you think that I could get just a cup of water in case I need it while we're talking? And she said, yes, I'll certainly get you a cup. And she brings me this cup with the breast cancer sign on it. And I said, are you a breast cancer survivor? And she said, well, yes, I am. And I said, you know what? I think we should dedicate this episode to all of you that have walked through breast cancer, are walking through breast cancer. And Judy, how long ago did that happen?
Well, this was in around 2000.
Okay.
I went for a regular checkup, and they discovered a tiny little lump.
Yes.
And that was in a regular checkup. So fortunately, they did further examine, and I went and had a lumpectomy.
Okay.
And I've had zero problems since then.
And
it was just
that's 25 years ago, y'all.
Yeah. Oh, it is, isn't it?
25
Yes.
years.
So I was just very lucky. I consider myself a very lucky person
Blessed.
for them to have found it.
And so you didn't have to do anything else?
I had radiation. I
Okay.
had 28 treatments of radiation and suffered, and I had no side effects from radiation.
Wow.
I knew some people do.
Yes.
But I had zero side effects from that.
Really?
Right.
Amazing.
I know it. It is, isn't it?
I am still recovering from radiation, to be honest.
Are you really?
Yes, ma'am. So, and I only did 15 rounds.
Really?
So I did a lumpectomy in 2023.
How about that?
And I found it myself. Went in.
Self-exam?
Yes, thankfully it was near the armpit, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt hard and different than other things. And so I went in, and they said, actually, I was scheduled for my mammogram. And when I went in, they said, has anything changed? And I said, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, then we need you to come back because you're not scheduled for a diagnostic and we have to do something different. And so I had to go back, wait, and go back actually a month and a half later. And then they said, we need you to see the doctor and let him look at it a little bit closer. And then they said, we actually want to test this, so you have to come back for the sample. And then they said it was positive. So no family history with it. It was in the milk duct. Where was yours at?
I don't know what
Okay.
they call it now. That's been so long ago.
Yep.
I can't really recall all of that because it was just such a, well, I considered I was very lucky in a very
Yes.
simple thing since they called it so early.
Right.
And I had the 28 treatments of radiation, no side effects
Wow.
from that, and ever since then, I go every year
For your
for my
checkup.
regular checkup.
Yes.
I'm very faithful
Awesome.
about that.
Yes.
So,
Well, that's encouraging to me, y'all.
Yes, it is.
Because there is that
Yes.
statement of probability of reoccurrence.
Mhm.
And how did you deal with that when they used that statement?
well,
Or did they use that statement?
I don't recall that they used
Okay.
that then. It's been so long ago,
Right.
I don't really recall. I just really consider myself a very lucky person.
Yes.
To have had
The right people.
the right
Mm.
people. I think it was the right timing, and to have no issues from the radiation.
Amazing.
Was amazing.
That's a miracle.
And it really
is.
because so many people,
Struggle.
have struggled with it.
Well, I called it a delayed detonator.
Mm.
So
Oh,
I
really?
did fine during, and it wasn't until about 2 months after I started to feel like my nerves were kind of overshot.
Yeah, you did.
As a female, we have children, and you can feel
And
like,
young.
yes.
You were very young.
So 42 when that happened. And so my kids are just 13 and 15, so they were like 10 to 11, you know, so that's a different season to have that going, and you don't have any history walking with friends. I will tell you, I have walked with many friends since. So they kind of find you, and that's a bittersweet thing of understanding what they're going through. So I feel like a friend who understands walks with you differently. And I've been able to take some friends to chemo.
And that's doing that, I think, is very rewarding. Because,
Yes.
And I find that with cancer patients, and what maybe more so with breast cancer, they're so willing to help each other and share that experience, because that's important. Everybody goes through basically the same thing, but it's a different experience for everybody.
You're right.
Because you handle the situation differently
Yes.
than somebody else handled it.
So did you have people driving you to radiation?
I did, but fortunately I couldn't drive myself.
Yes.
It didn't really. So I did, I could do that. I will mention this, that years ago, my mother had breast cancer. And back then, I call it, she was butchered. I mean, that's what they did.
They cut
They cut everything all down into her arm. I mean, it was
more aggressive, invasive. What they did,
and very invasive. They removed the whole breast, and I mean, she was scarred. But that's the only way they knew how to treat it.
Right.
Then.
So that's why I'm thankful to be in this time and season of life, and I understand, because that was early. They didn't really fully understand it yet, and it was kind of a little bit more of a death sentence at that time.
Oh yeah, I mean
they only had, like you said, one way.
That's right. They didn't have any treatment or anything. It was remove, cut, and remove.
Yes, and
hope
for the best.
And hope for the best. So
So did you do the genetic testing? Did they do?
No.
They didn't even have that.
They didn't have
No, you're right. You're right. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And how did she live a long time after?
Oh yes, she lived to be 92, I think it was. Yes.
And how old are you now?
87.
87. I have to ask this, y'all. I have to, because it just shows that people, even at 87, are still with it. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Well, sometimes I wonder.
Well, I wonder that too at 45. I wonder that if I'm still with it. My grandmother was with it up to the end. She had her mind. And that's not everyone's story.
No, it isn't. And how old was she?
91.
91.
And she went through she went in for a scan. I'm not sure why. Don't remember that now. But anyway, they found pancreatic cancer. I'm here to tell you, the pancreas, which they would usually say is kind of final stage a lot of times, people don't live more than 6 months with that type of diagnosis. She lived 4.5 years. The pancreas was not what spread. It actually spread to the lung. And it was the lung that finally kind of took her out. She did 3 rounds of chemo. She did amazing on it. Very little side effect. She said, I did what the doctor told me. I kept drinking. I stayed hydrated. She walked. She prayed. She asked the Lord for help. And she would feel a little bit off about that second day. And, I mean, she was just a trooper. And so she passed the year of COVID, actually. COVID was announced in March, right, of 2020. Right. She passed May 1st in her home. That was a gift to us.
That's right, that is.
Because she was in the hospital in March with some fluid retention. So that the fluid was not keeping up, and they got her down, and she got to come home. And it was like the next week or something that they shut us down. And as the story started to unfold through the COVID pandemic, I realized what a gift. We got her to be home, and we were not separated from her.
Right, isn't that wonderful? That was.
And she had 4 generations, Judy.
Really?
We, not at the moment of passing, but with those 2 days leading up, my aunt and my mom, then myself and my sister, which were her grandchildren, and then my daughter and my daughter's sister. So she had all of us in the house, singing over her, praying over her, holding her hand.
What a blessing! What a blessing!
I'm telling you. Yeah. So these are moments that marked my life.
Right.
And
you won't forget them.
No. And I lived beside my grandma my whole life.
Oh, really?
She was one of my best friends and my best cheerleader. And so I feel like part of this widow walk is a piece of her, because if you knew the family history, you know, the Purviance Funeral Home.
Yes.
So my grandmother's side of the family on my dad's side moved here from Indiana back, I don't know, in the 30s to Boykins.
Really?
And they lived in a house on Main Street, one of those, it was a big white house. And, you know, back then, the funeral, you would live in the house that you...
That's right.
...had the open visitation.
Oh, yeah. My parents were brought to the house, and
yes,
the viewing was in the living room.
Right. So that is my grandmother's childhood. And her dad had a funeral business, and then her brother and his son kept it here. So there was the funeral business. Purviance Funeral Home was in Boykins and Wakefield.
Oh, I know.
And so Hilda, as I asked you, was Sam's wife, and they ran the one in Wakefield.
Yeah, I've been on cruises with them.
And Glenda.
Yeah, the parents.
I mean, not Glenda. Gay Nell. So you mean Gay Nell's trips you went on?
Yes.
Okay, so you went with Sam and Hilda.
Yes.
You have any stories?
Well, I ate dinner with them every night. I got to know them then. I can't remember everything, but I remember them being such nice people and enjoying.
Do you know what trip, where were you going?
Oh, gee.
Or was that a cruise?
It was a cruise.
Okay.
It was a cruise.
Okay.
So that's why we had dinner.
Yes, that's why I was.
Every night. It was one of the earlier ones that I took. In fact, it was when my husband was still living. And we started cruising with Gaynell. And the provinces are, she just put us at whatever table, at her tables, and I just happened to
get to meet them and talk with them.
Yeah, with
awesome.
them. Yes.
Well, that was, so I did not mention this, but for some of you may know this, some of you may not. Gaynell and you are sister-in-laws. Is that correct?
Our husbands were twins.
And, yes.
My husband's Bob, and our husband was Bill.
And you both started the Peanut Patch.
Yes.
And that was back, I think she said, in the 70s?
Yeah, somewhere in there. I can't
Yes, that's okay. She had the dates. If you watch, she remembers the dates.
It all down. Yes,
and
so it was then it was on Main Street, Portland.
Okay.
In a building that no longer stands, right across from the post office. I'm sure she told you all of this.
I do remember that now.
Yes.
It was kind of a brown building.
Yes.
Okay, yes. It's no longer standing.
It's no longer standing.
But that was your first shop.
That was our first.
Now, did you roast peanuts there too?
Actually, when we started out, we didn't. We sold Hubs peanuts and Saks peanuts. And then we went into business with Hugh Taylor, and he cooked. So we cooked, that's when we started cooking out back and cooked.
Was that because people started requesting it?
Well, we figured out, why do we need to be selling somebody else's peanuts?
Why can't we do it?
Why can't we do our own? And at the time my husband was teaching school, he had a very unfortunate experience and hearing. Well, they actually don't know whether he was born with this or when it came along with a job that he had later on in life.
With some loud noise, maybe.
Loud noises, and he had very difficult hearing. So teaching was kind of difficult for him sometimes. So someone, I think it was actually a relative of Danielle's, maybe she told you this, who said he'd heard about this business that stripped furniture. You bought some kind of a tanks and dye, and back then it was getting ready for, you know, the bicentennial and everything, and people were thinking about all that furniture that they had put 10 coats of paint on, and they wanted to restore it, and people were thinking about the old and bringing back to the new. And he said, I read about this franchise you could get, stripping, that it was tank and you had chemicals, and you could dip it in the chemicals and all the paint would come off. Well, to make a long story short, we actually looked into it, went up to Delhi, New York, and went through the training.
Wow.
And we bought these tanks and the chemicals, and we started taking in furniture to have the paint removed. Well, Danielle and my husband were teaching, and Bill, he was working at Union Camp, and I was the only one. I was home with 2 little children. Raising them, I think, one was under a year, maybe one was 3 or something like that. And they said, well, we needed someone there to take the furniture in and be there when they came and picked it up. And I could do that.
Okay.
So I put my children in the car. We went over, the store no longer stands there, right across from the post office. And then they decided, well, if someone was there to take in the furniture, we had this big building, we could do something else. So we started taking furniture on consignment.
Okay.
And selling it on consignment.
Would you buy it and refurbish it and then sell it?
No, we just took it in. We had a whole attic upstairs, and we actually had this one gentleman who I knew through years of 4-H club work, and he started dealing with antiques and so forth. So he started bringing all of.
He was kind of your buyer.
Yeah, but we didn't buy it. We only sold it on consignment.
Okay.
They got 2/3 of the sale. We got
1/3.
1/3.
Okay.
And then we said, you know, there's nobody in Southampton County really pushing the peanut industry. This is a huge. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Hub's Peanuts,
totally,
because they have a wonderful product, and we were really started out selling Hub's Peanuts, and they were great. But nobody is really pushing the peanuts. So we actually went into business with Hugh Taylor, because I don't know if you know Hugh and John. His mother was Virginia Taylor, and they were big caterers, particularly his mother, Virginia. They catered events. And
now I've heard that when Union Camp was in its heyday, that there were a lot. I know Doc Kitchen was one of them.
Yes, okay.
But
Doc
there
was one.
That was more of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Like.
Well, yeah.
What I mean, what was it only for events, or were they cooking meals for the week?
Well, it was mainly for events, but I think you could get
some
meals there.
Did they take food to the mill?
You know, I really can't answer that.
I can't
but
remember.
I would imagine
I
so.
know. I think
don't
for
know.
certain.
But they were cooking some peanuts in their home. So we went into our business, set up, we had back built, I don't know if you remember, there were buildings behind the peanut patch. And we put tanks in there and started stripping furniture. So as I said, somebody had to be there to take the furniture and deliver. So while I was there, we started selling stuff on consignment. And then, as I said, nobody was really doing the peanut thing, and we said, we need to start pushing Southampton County peanuts. So we bought Hub's peanuts, and we bought Saks peanuts, if you remember the salted in the shell. And I don't know if you remember a lady by the name of Florence Bland. She lives between Hunterville and Cortland, and she made the most delicious fudge. And we sold her fudge, and Dolly Nicholson was doing sugar-coated peanuts. So we sold those. So I don't know, that's kind of how we got in.
So you found, were these people just through acquaintance? Were these women in your church? How did you know they did this? The fudge, obviously you'd eaten them before.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. Some people sought us out.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
And they were people we just happened to know. I know Florence Bland, you know.
And so was it a chocolate fudge? What did she do?
It was a peanut butter fudge.
Oh, okay. Totally. So you're pushing the peanut.
Well, yeah, so
Different.
we kind of somehow got into pushing the peanuts.
But you think if people, because I know, I may be jumping ahead, but it was, at some point the peanut patch was a shop. I mean, you had things like a gift shop is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Those are most of the things we took on consignment. We didn't really start buying until we moved out on the highway.
Main Street.
Yeah.
58.
Yeah, out on 58. But we were doing, you know, all of that on consignment. We would take their homemade things and sell them. And then at the end of the month, we would pay
them back some.
Pay them for what they had sold.
Right.
We had to do all the bookkeeping.
Yes.
And doing things like that.
So you kind of,
But then, when the bypass, that was what prompted us to move. When the bypass,
because that wasn't originally there.
At that point, the traffic off of 30 was coming down 35 and turning there and going and hitting 58, going toward Emporia.
That was the only way to get to that.
That was the only way to get there.
Okay.
So that traffic was coming by our store.
Yes.
And then we kind of got to be known, you know, to stop at the peanut patch and get peanuts. Well, when they put in the bypass, that traffic was no longer coming by our shop. So we had Junius Pulley, I don't know if you remember him or not, owned that building out on the highway called the Nottaway House. And many times he mentioned to us, you know, after he had closed the store, you know, why don't you move out on the highway? Don't you want to buy this piece of property? Well, we didn't have any money to buy that piece of property. And so finally he said, I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. I'll rent you that piece of property for 1 year, and you try it. And if at that time you want to buy it, if not,
I'll stop asking.
fine. So we
did.
We did.
And was that your best year?
And we never looked back.
We never looked back.
that was it.
And I have never heard this. And so see, once again, I told you, she's like, I don't know what we're going to talk about. I said, the Lord works it out, because this is history that I remember going by it. We definitely went to the peanut patch when I was a young child.
Over in the old store.
On the old store. I don't remember why we went there. I don't know what my mother bought there, but I know we did go there. And another store that it wasn't the same was in Wakefield. There was that not the food store. It was a clothing store. It was in a log cabin.
What was the name of that store?
It may come to us.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
If it comes to us, we'll remember. Anyway, there wasn't really a lot of nice shops. Now I know people tell me that there used to be some big department stores downtown Franklin on Main Street.
There were.
And there was a hospital down.
The hospital,
right?
Memorial Hospital was there with us.
So that was before my memory. Okay. So there's been some nice things, but it was sprinkling these into some different rural areas. So I want to say, was that in the 90s that the bypass happened, or was that in the 80s?
I think it was in the 80s, wasn't it? I should have looked all this stuff
No,
up.
we didn't know we were going to go here. No, should not. You're already telling us, but what is so beautiful is that this is, I don't want to say exactly the American dream, but this is the story that you hear about the human ingenuity, the entrepreneur. This is the story of the entrepreneur. How did it happen? They would say, well, it kind of, one thing led to another, one and another thing. So it's not that they really had a full vision of where this could go or the potential.
We didn't have a business plan. Let's put it that way.
Thank you.
Everybody, there was no such thing.
No, there was no such thing
as a business plan.
Right.
We had no clue what we were doing.
But you just did it.
We did it, and we lucked out, I guess.
Yes.
But I'm not going to say it wasn't a lot of hard work.
Yes.
Because
It was
a lot of hard.
Now, was there any, obviously when you're kind of walking out something you have no booklet for, like you're saying you had no business plan, was there any setbacks, or it just was growth after growth after growth? I mean, were there some things you had to adapt?
Well, as I said, when we started out, we didn't have any money. We both put up X amount of dollars, but most of that went into buying
Those tanks.
The tanks, so on that. So the rest of it was, as I said, we didn't have any money, so we couldn't lose anything.
Okay, right.
But our time. So
Yes.
we learned the hard way, maybe so to speak, that you did with what you had. And I'll have to say this. The bank was very good to us. We probably would have never survived if it hadn't been for Bobby World at Southampton County Bank. They were our friend.
Okay.
And I mean, they
Gave you an advance
they
at
trusted
times.
us. I don't
Yes,
know
gave you an
why.
advance. That's right.
Yeah, they so.
Yeah. Well, that's a
that
little bit
was
like
a
the
fun-
farmer program. I mean, with the
Yeah.
farmers, you kind of take this advance and then you work through the year, and then you have the harvest, and then you pay it back, and you're kind of this open credit.
So I don't know.
That's good.
I'm not going to say we didn't work hard. We
Yes. You took it serious.
did. Yeah, we did. And but as I said, as far as having any big plan and how we were going to do this, I said. People asked me what our plan was, and I said our plan was to get up every morning and go to work and open the door.
That's right. That's right.
That was the business plan that we had. And
And so did your sons, you did that while they were in school?
now Gaynell had the boys, I had the girls.
Okay.
Yes. And Jane was starting kindergarten and at the academy. And Alice was in car seat, and I took her to work with me every day. And then, as I said, when Gaynell got out of school, she came, and Bob came, and I would pick up the children and take them home.
So you kind of tag teamed on some things.
So her boys were older, so they managed, could manage some on their own.
Right.
But mine were very
Needed more
small.
help.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a beautiful story, and what we can say is that Farides, Gaynell gave a little bit of the history of the transition of that.
And the name, I guess.
Yes, I asked her that, and that is still on 58 today, and people are still frequenting these shops, and it has evolved as what they provide there. It used to be more
crafted.
Yes, maybe that's the word I'm thinking of. And now it's really more of the peanuts.
Yeah, because, I'm sure you yourself have seen this trend. People are not into the crafting, or we went through that period.
Yes.
Where that generation.
The novelty stuff.
That generation was not interested in crafting.
We go on
stuff.
Amazon, basically. We don't like the quality anymore, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, they went a different route. I think they went more into, I don't know, life and the entertainment and
That's fair.
being with your
Traveling.
traveling.
Yes.
Most definitely
Yes.
traveling. That came a part of
Yes.
it. So that thing of having the old crafty things.
Like
That
on the
gen-
burger basket or
nobody, the next generation didn't want it.
You're right. No, we didn't want to have all the stuff.
You didn't want stuff.
No, we
You
don't.
didn't have want stuff.
No. We had our grandma's houses and they had a lot of stuff. And then we had to clean out our grandma's houses and said, we're not doing that. We're not going to have the same amount of stuff.
That's right. They didn't want stuff.
Yeah.
So
We'd rather invest in traveling
Right.
and
And-
experiences, adventures.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. But food.
Food now is a big thing.
Yes. Yes.
So they went in. Yeah.
You kept the food.
kept the food.
That makes a lot of sense. And this is part of the interesting thing. When you're not in that business, you may not be as aware that there is these trends.
Mm-hmm.
But you've had to pivot with those trends.
And yet, the business experience I had was 48 years of
Wow.
being in business, and I will have to say, keeping up with that is very important if you're going to survive in the business
Yes.
world.
You
Because
kind of had to be ahead of the trend.
That's exactly what I was going to say next. Instead of just being here, you have to be one step ahead,
Right.
and be out there and figure out what is coming ahead.
Right.
Fortunately, back through those years, and I'll bring this up because it had a great influence on a lot of the businesses in the food business. We formed an organization in Virginia called FLAVA, Virginia Food and Beverage Association.
Okay.
And that encompassed any food or beverage group in the state of Virginia that wanted to become a part of this. And we began to promote Virginia food and beverages. And we actually exhibited, for example, at the New York Food Show and the New York
Was
Gift
that like
Show.
trade show?
Yes.
But it was
uh-huh.
in the food and beverage.
Well,
So you were a part of developing that?
Yes. But that promoted Virginia's food and beverages.
Outside of the county.
Outside
Of the state.
Of the state. We exhibited nationally.
Yes.
There was a National Food and Beverage Association. Actually, they had it twice a year. Usually 1 year was in New York and the next year in California, San Francisco. But we did go to Chicago, then went to Atlanta, to one other, and that put our Virginia foods out on the national level. And we had an association, a group of these people, and we exhibited as the state of Virginia.
Wow.
So we could promote our product
Yes.
as well, and we got the help of the Virginia Agriculture
Wow.
Office with helping us do these shows
Wow.
and promoting Virginia foods.
Wow.
So
I mean, it's like, and that, what is that? That's really kind of networking.
oh yeah, that's what a lot of it is about.
And then you had to figure out how to bridge to extend your territory.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
what I was asking Gaynell, I said, these peanuts, because my dad was a farmer, my grandfather was a farmer, and I'm like, when you're from here, it feels so familiar, I guess, maybe to me. I was like, whatever. A farmer's a dime a dozen around here. Then as I've gotten older and you start to go to the chamber meetings and you start hearing about the legacy and the inheritance that we are in a place that has 4th and 5th generation farmers and how they have evolved and turned some of these, like Severn Peanut Company, these different ones, they're international
Yeah,
now.
right.
That this was not a thing.
back then. Well, I don't know if Gaynell told you this story or not, and I may not
She
remember all the details about it, but one time we were doing a show, and I can't remember whether it was at a gift show or actually the food show, and we had peanuts, and people would come by and say, peanuts? Don't you have pistachios or cashews or something? Peanuts. I mean,
So that was like a lower grade.
That was a lower grade. Who wants who wants peanuts?
That's not refined.
That's nobody knew
How good they were.
anything about the Virginia
Peanut.
Virginia peanut.
Wow.
And roasting them. As I said, Hobbs had a wonderful business, but they had not gone out nationally. They had a huge mail order business and local business, but I guess maybe we would like to say through the Virginia Food and Beverage Association, we began to promote the Virginia peanut on a national
Level.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, it's, again, they saw the value in the peanut. And
Yeah.
you had to be the voice for the peanut.
You had to sell it though.
You had to sell it.
Because
That's right.
they wanted pistachios and cashews.
Right. And now what Gaynell brought up was that this goes back to the war times, that the North came here and they would eat some of these peanuts and then they wanted to take them back. And so she brought it into that.
Right.
She didn't get in
history.
Right, the
Uh-huh.
history of the beginnings of
the Virginia
peanut, of they'll taste something from the North that wasn't being done. They tasted in the South, and then they wanted to bring it up to the North. And so back to this ingenuity of the entrepreneur. You see a need, you fill a need, and that's what the human brain is meant to do. For those who have a business mind, okay? So you can say, we weren't business minded.
We weren't business minded.
Well, somehow you became business minded if you were able to then try something and one thing led to another and then another conversation and then this conversation. So through collaboration and relationship with different aspects of the business, you created this food and beverage organization. And that's still going now.
That's still going
and that's
on.
huge.
Yes.
I mean, there's probably, I don't even know,
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands in it.
Well, I don't know if there are that many, but of course, that in the Virginia there wouldn't be that many. But
Right.
then they
National.
they participate
Right.
in the national.
So you get to go, and what would you say? Now I understand you're saying the salted peanut, and my father would say that's still the number one, the best of the peanut is what I guess I would say. But what was your number one seller?
Oh, just the regular roast, oil fried and
Oil fried.
Well, and I'm.
Was
not
it
gonna
peanut
get
oil?
into- Well, we use peanut oil. There are other companies that use a different oil.
Okay.
But we did, and we actually used that in part of our promotion, that they were cooked in peanut oil. But other companies use them use
Canola,
coconut oil
okay.
or something. And that gives them each a distinct
Flavor.
or
Well, there was
shelf
also
life
a
or
different crunch, kind of.
Well, yeah, it could be.
I mean-
I thought so, but
Yeah, you know, like the texture.
more crunchy.
And we may say even the grade of the peanut.
Yes, and we used nothing but the super extra large when we
Okay.
were cooking. But other companies could use a different grade.
Right.
And
But that was how you could promote
yeah,
your brand.
because we did that. We used
The best
only
of the
the
best.
of the best.
Yeah.
And
And obviously, it's still the best.
best.
I mean, that's the beauty of some of this. Where they say, "What if it's not broke? Don't fix it."
Yeah.
You could have, I'm sure, as it's evolved, prices go up, and you have to decide: are you going to continue to hold on to
Yes. Mm-hmm.
the original recipe, if you want to call it?
Mm-hmm. Well, and we did, and and I don't know if Danielle mentioned it to us. We did have, I recall it. We had an amiable divorce in the business, and we, Bob and Bill, and
She said you sold out or
Yeah,
sold your
they-
shares.
So yes, and then in 2000, my children, my girls, and their husbands came back here, and kind of took over running the business, and Jane started traveling and selling, more nationally and so forth, and that, and to maybe a different customer or larger company, and then we started doing some private label for some companies. So it grew.
And that,
and
so
and
the
lucky
next generation brought another level of
business to them.
business savvy to it and developed it even further, because as she's saying right here, and I know the Severn Peanut Company did this as well, because they have Hampton Roads or Hampton Farms,
Hampton Farms.
where there's peanut butter. I mean, there's this, how can you continue to reinvent the peanut? What does the peanut do? And it seems to be endless. There's now flavored peanut butter, and
Right, there's all the different flavors, and fortunately my son-in-law was a chef, so he developed a lot of different flavors for us.
And the private label, as some of you may know, means someone came to them and said, well, you do this.
Under another
Or
name.
maybe it's the same, but we want to sell it with our name on it, and then you kind of come up with a plan. So they didn't have to have the factory. They didn't have to do the distribution.
And we had just built the factory. And that wasn't cheap, so
Right.
we had the capabilities of doing
Distribution.
for the distribution and doing for
Whoever.
so the next generation was able to do that.
Wow.
And then we were lucky. Somebody came by and wanted to buy it,
Yep.
and they were willing to pay
Hey, good money.
pay for it, and we sold it. And
And that's your legacy.
we were lucky.
I mean, can you? Here we started with her saying he's going to get into basically stripping furniture. Okay, stripping furniture was the beginnings of opening the Peanut Patch.
That's right.
Now, did you have a name, Peanut Patch, from the start?
Actually, a friend named it. We didn't, as I said, we had no clue
Right,
what
a
we
business
were
plan.
doing. And our friend, Pat Hart was her name, and she said, I don't know, I think they were talking to Gaynell Bill or something, she and her husband, and said, what are you going to call her? We don't know. Well, how about the Peanut Patch? Okay, the Peanut Patch.
I like it. Hey, I like that.
Just like the Peanut Patch. And then that worked pretty well until years later, when we started selling nationally.
Internet, right. You found out somebody else
yes,
had one.
trademark came, that deal came around, another level of business. And
Yes.
trademark and thing. And we began to do some research and found out there were another Peanut Patch. And they actually had been in business longer
Than you.
than we had, and I'm sure they were not about to give up
Their
their
name.
name. So in order to, at that point, we consulted with a trademark lawyer, attorney, and said, you probably need to come up with another name.
Right.
You need to manufacture a name.
Yep.
Really? Have you ever tried to manufacture a name? I can tell you manufacturing peanuts was a lot easier
Yes.
than
Trying to find a name that didn't exist.
name that we could get a trademark
Wow.
on, or a good name.
Yes.
Because all the names have been
Taken. All the good ones, you think.
Well, anything
Yeah.
associated
You tried
with
it.
peanut,
Right.
had-
By that point, it had become popular.
Had been, well, and people will trademark names and with no
Not-
intentions of using them
Right.
at the time.
You're right.
But they might be able to sell it to somebody
That's right.
at a nice price
Yes.
later on.
Right.
So that we found out was another whole
Hullabaloo.
Yeah.
A legal situation.
So manufacture a name. So really?
Wow.
How do you manufacture?
And she said
a
you
name?
blended the names.
Yes, actually, I have to give my son-in-law credit for that. He started working with names, and he came up with a combination of our last names.
Yeah.
So,
Brady's
for
was born.
Brady's, F-E-R is part of Schaefer, which is my daughter Paula and Alice Schaefer. With F-E-R-D.
Freeze.
F-E-R-I-D.
I-S.
I-E-S. Freeze is the last, and Riddick is the center.
Okay.
The R-I-D is the center. So it's Freeze, Riddick, Schaefer.
Riddick
for
and
Riddick.
Freeze.
So
Riddick and
there are
Freeze.
3 letters from each name, and that's how we came up with Farides.
It wasn't the easiest thing to say. We're like, Farides, what is this?
Right.
But
in order to get a trademark on the name, you really had to come up with something different.
yes.
So that's how we came up with
Wow.
Farides. It's a
I think that was the
combination-
right call. I think it was
Yeah.
the safe. It secured your
Yeah, right.
legacy.
Yeah, but that was not easy, as
No.
I said.
Right.
Farides.
Yes. I believe that was probably a heavy time. You know, I took a lot of mental,
Yes.
emotional toll, financial.
And
You're
yes,
having to
it's
make.
not cheap
No,
either.
right.
It really
So-
isn't.
Who knew they would get to this place in the business? But basically, if they wanted to continue to expand, this had to happen.
That's right.
This had
It
to
had
happen.
to happen.
Right, it had to happen.
It would have been very risky
Yeah.
to continue with the peanut
Right.
patch.
Without a
consider-
lawsuit.
Yeah, without a lawsuit. And,
Right.
You know.
Which
and-
would be also expensive.
But then it could put you out of business
Mhm.
because you have, it's amazing what you have your name on.
Right.
I mean, when we got ready to change
Yeah.
the name on things, simple stationery, I mean, it's every little thing that you
Yes.
have your name on legally had to be,
It affects everything.
it affects
Right.
everything. So that was,
Wow. I mean, you see, it's a heavy thing when you really had to rely on this lawyer
oh yeah.
because this is a category that I'm sure your friends did not have any history.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a lawyer who did only this,
Yes.
basically, who did
Right.
only that. So they know what
Yes.
they knew what to do and to
Right.
walk us through.
Right.
Uh,
And so you had
Yeah.
to trust this baby that really grew into a full-time, that's how I kind of think about a business. It's like it starts out as an infant and then you nurture it until it kind of can walk and talk. And this, basically, they had a full-grown business. Okay,
Yeah,
this
they had
business
it.
could
Right.
run itself, obviously with the people, but you had figured out the system. You had created the business plan by this point, whether you knew it or not. You, looking back, were able to see what worked, what didn't work, other places you wanted to go into, and the growth is where there was this stopping point to say, are we moving forward? And the answer is yes, we're going to move forward because why not? Something about business, you really don't want to cap your own self. You don't want to put a ceiling on something when you believe in this product and you've now proven that the product is legit and desirable and to the point that people crave it and come back for more. You had to have repeat customer to grow the business like this.
Oh yeah, the repeat customer was the main thing.
Totally.
And of course that's another thing we developed when we moved out on 58. We were getting the same customer. They would stop at the Dairy Queen or,
Yes.
and I will bring this up. If you noticed our highway sign on Route 58 between here and Emporia, at the bottom it says clean restrooms. Have you ever noticed that?
No, I have not.
Anybody who does any traveling, what do you look for?
A clean restroom. That's
I
clever.
don't-
That's clever. That's clever. And
Was-
some people
was
say
that not? Yes.
that's
and
clever,
we-
but some people would think we don't want you to just come to our shop to use the bathroom.
No. But I maybe I shouldn't have even brought this
No,
up.
I liked it. This is good
People
thinking.
love it,
You're
you know.
thinking about the traveler.
Well, we were. And
safe
actually,
place.
we used it as a
Marketing tool.
A marketing
Yes,
tool.
that's right.
And we made a point of having clean
But
restrooms.
we have to think back. Now that's been, when did you move to 58? 90s?
I need to look that up. I can't exactly.
It may have been the early
remember.
2000s.
It was in 2000.
early?
No, it was earlier than that.
Okay.
It was in, yeah.
I think it was in the 90s.
It was in the 90s, yes.
So all that to say, my point in bringing up when, even we'll just say in the 90s decade, probably in late 95 to 2000 time frame is what I'm thinking. There was not much on that window between Emporia to
Right.
Suffolk.
You're
We
right.
still don't have enough, okay? We still don't have enough hotels. And the one hotel got taken down by the hurricane or tornado. Was it a tornado? It was a tornado. Yes.
Mhm.
So, not saying anyway. We won't go into the hotel stuff, but we're still missing some things because there's some gaps in this rural area of distance. We don't have a lot to per se draw people to say the hotels are not seeing the demand to need to be here, but we do need
Yeah,
them
they
to
might
be
be
here.
Yes.
Even if we're not a big college
Okay.
town or whatever the thing that may draw you for the football games. But there's a lot of truckers and there's a lot of distribution happening all up and down 95, 58, getting to different places. And there's not a lot of stops. And there's not a lot of gas stations still.
And I don't, of course, we no longer have the business and thing, but traveling, and particularly, I think about traveling to Suffolk. There is a lot of traffic
Yes.
on 58.
Yes.
A lot
lot.
of traffic
A lot.
on 58.
You're right. And that's grown. That's grown as shipping and distribution has increased. I mean, even with COVID, it's blown up, to be honest, because
Oh, yeah.
we did
People
not
do.
have Amazon, and now there's a lot more shipping happening and things being delivered.
Mhm.
Therefore, we need trucks to transport
Right,
these
right.
boxes to all of us. So this has evolved too. This has evolved too. So this move to 58 was a
Oh, yes.
a major move
It was
that
a
you
major
could.
move.
They had no idea these transitions were going to happen. The trend of shipping and
That's
all of
right.
that was years after,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, years. Yes,
So years,
definitely.
so they couldn't have forecasted fully that to say, oh, that's why we're going to do it.
That's going to happen. No,
Right.
We didn't know.
And then, but because they weren't getting that traffic, it was more about the traffic and coming
yeah,
over.
because they were
local.
no longer going through.
Cortland.
They were no longer going through Cortland. They were
Yes.
going from Emporia
Right.
right on.
And
on
I think
through.
I think it was a good move because that is more of a residential area, and
Yes.
then all the truck noise and all the stuff, you kind of slowed that
Well,
down.
it's the same thing. It used to go through Franklin.
Yes.
But
The
now,
58,
yeah,
the-
and now I'm sure downtown Franklin is
slower.
seeing a result of
Yes.
everybody going.
Staying on 58, where they used to have to go
Go
through
through
town
Franklin
to
and-
get back on. You're exactly right.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's the shopping
Yeah, it
center
is.
past the mill.
Yeah.
What
The
was
bypass, yeah.
yes, and that
Airway?
hotel.
Was it Airway?
Yes, Airway or
Airfield or
Airfield
something.
Shopping Center, or something like that. The McDonald's, that was a happening place. That's where Three Guys was.
Yeah.
What else? The what was the restaurant with the
Yeah.
the teddy bear? I think it was
No,
called the
was-
Teddy Bear.
Was it?
The Teddy
No,
Bear.
I don't know.
Another caterer that became full time, and her name's blanking right now. She had the restaurant before Serve.
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm no better than
Oh,
you.
no,
I know these people.
Yeah,
She was at the country club for a time.
yeah. I can picture her
Yeah,
right
me
now. I
too.
can't call her name.
Okay, whatever. So I'm just telling you, there
No,
was
sure.
there was major restaurants. We had a fine dining, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fine dining for our area, and she ended up moving out to Suffolk too on 58 somewhere. But I thought it was called the Teddy Bear, is what I think. And she evolved into different restaurants after that. Not Pam's Tea Room. That was something else. But I'm just telling you, on the other side of 50, the paper mill was developed first before really Armory Drive got is developed, which is now where all the major commerce in our area is. So you were there, you saw the evolution of that. I don't really remember that. And we still have some gaps on Armory Drive now, but
Yeah, but they're hopefully filling
yes, they're
up.
filling
I
up.
think people
And we are a resilient town. We have, come back from a flood. We've
Yes.
come back, so many
Definitely.
things that businesses had to evolve and change, and where they did not have to have flood insurance now do, which costs them more monthly, which you need to make more money each month to cover these costs. And so it's
And we
just
just need to support these
Local businesses. Thank you.
And
here's your commercial. What can you tell the locals about this holiday season?
to support the local businesses. If we want to have more things, you have to support the things that we have so they can grow, and that will entice other people to come here because they see things happening.
Yes.
And I think we have a group of people that are really working
Hard on it. Yes.
hard on that to make that happen.
That's right.
Yes.
And again, there were times when it was more commerce, I would say. Like
Yes.
there's been an ebbs and flow of where everybody would be on Main Street in Franklin for different commerce. You didn't go outside of town really.
That's right. You did all your shopping at home.
Right. And then that evolved because malls and certain things started to develop,
And the
and
flood.
people moved out of town. And we used to have a movie theater. There were things happening here, and then it kind of died out for a season. Now these malls are dying out, and
yeah,
people are
want
coming
to
back.
And they want to shop at home.
And they want to shop at home because, again, we're learning so much about food and what these factories are putting in our food that are not healthy, not in our good. And we want to now shop local because it's farm to table. And we have local businesses that we're getting fresh produce, fresh seafood, fresh beef, fresh pork. People are growing the cattle, are growing, and we want as close to the farm as we can get, which is how she grew up. But we didn't actually get that. We got more produce.
Yes. That's it.
Manufactured food came in probably the 70s, 80s, and now we're the children of that, and some of us have health issues and other things, and we're realizing we need to go back to the way it was because we're dealing with inflammation issues, autoimmune disease, all these weird things that your generation never even heard of, didn't even deal with. It was major illness or really, a cold or something.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no in between. Now we have all this weird stuff, and we really do believe it has to do with the food environment and things like that. Well, Judy, this has been a history story. You had no idea you were going to share all this. It is amazing.
I didn't know what it was going to be.
It is so good. I just need you to know. And we did not even talk about you being a widow. And how long have you been a widow?
About 20 years.
20 years. So were you still running the business
Yes.
after you became a widow?
Yes.
Wow.
We're still. Well, I was going to work.
Yes. You may not have been a full-time person at that point.
Yes, but yes, that was our
Your income,
livelihood.
your job. Yes.
That was our livelihood. And Bob was a big part of that business.
Yes.
I mean, a huge part
And so you were
of the business.
Yes. And did he have a long-term illness or?
Yes, he had cancer that they didn't discover until it was too late, and then it got in to the lung, and then it spread into the bones.
Okay.
And so it was
A hard time.
yes.
Right. But you had support.
Oh, I had wonderful support. I was fortunate to live in what I consider the best neighborhood in Franklin, Southampton County for 57 years.
Was that Beechwood?
No, that was Cypress Manor.
Cypress Manor.
Cypress
Okay,
Manor near
okay.
the country club.
Okay.
And to live in that neighborhood, there were no fences in any of the yards. All the backyards
Kids played together.
open up.
Mhm.
Our children grew up in that neighborhood. Everybody's children grew up in that neighborhood. Yes. You played ball in everybody's yard. We picnicked, cooked out, whatever it was, every Sunday or Saturday or Sunday. And
so you had like a neighborhood potluck?
We had a neighborhood potluck, whether it was cooking on the grill hamburgers and hot dogs or a covered dish.
Yes.
It was, and everybody looked after everybody else's children. They rode your bikes in everybody's yard. I mean, I can remember my girls growing up. They rode their bikes to the country club. I think they even rode them to the YMCA. It was just.
It was okay.
It was okay.
It felt safe.
They felt very safe doing that. So, having lived in that neighborhood like we did, it was
a beautiful.
It was a beautiful experience.
Awesome.
It really was.
I mean, look, you know. We're trying to get that again, but I cannot say, even though I live on Southampton Road and over there with Robin Hood, and I remember Miss Petty talking about the Cannons were on a corner, and Miss Petty, and then you had the Pittmans, I bought their house.
Oh, okay.
That's where I live.
Yes.
And then you had Wesley Wills, all these backyards. They told me this, that they ran through, and so you've got 3 acres of land basically, or 2.5 between the houses for these kids to run and play, and then they have this kind of woods area behind it that divided the 2 streets that are parallel to each other. And I did not the kids this is an older neighborhood, let me just put it like that, because she's saying they lived there 57 years. She didn't live in my neighborhood, but that's the same way people custom built homes, and they still lived in them until they passed away, basically. Gaynell is one of those. She has lived in this house. It's one owner. And that is a testimony to our town and the longevity. But the kids did not have neighbors that had kids my age. Yeah. And we had a neighbor who ended up being, they moved into the Drake's house only for a year. But that was the only time my kids had kids their age to play with, which ended up being the pastors of Cortland Baptist, the Lot family. So they were renting while they were shopping around for a house, and it ended up taking a year because they have a large family of 8, which is not as typical around here to find a house that can fit that many children. So they ended up in the county. Also from Peanut Family, isn't that with the Manns? They bought one of the Manns' house, not Manns.
No.
Who were the Belmont Peanut people? Marks, thank you. That's what I want to say. Yeah. So one of the old Marks houses they bought on I don't need to tell y'all where it is, but over in the county, and so that was a perfect place for them. So it's interesting to hear where my kids want more friends and neighbors, but in my generation, there's been a lot of history of some hardships, and so in kids' childhoods when things happened. And so we are not as willing to let our kids roam the roads because there has been a transition of safety. And that is my generation. So we are very tight on who goes where. No one barely spends the night a lot of places anymore, unless they're a relative, because there's just been too much history, and you think you know people. But I'm thankful that you lived in a neighborhood that was safe and beautiful, and you have those things. And now she's, like I said, moved into the village. I would say
I've kept my house.
You still have it?
Yes, because I have a daughter that lives away from here.
Okay.
I was able,
Yes, financially could do that.
Financially able to keep my house.
Yes.
And because I have one daughter that lives here, and the other daughter lives in Harrisonburg.
Okay.
But it gives them a place to stay, or when I have friends, so maybe it wants to
beautiful. Okay. So she has
I feel very comfortable keeping.
So you have a little Airbnb, if you want to call it, not that she's charging.
No.
You let them just stay there conveniently.
Yeah, well, I
maintain it.
Yeah.
So you don't have somebody in there every day?
No, oh no.
Okay,
No.
okay.
Mainly, it would have to be somebody very close.
Yes.
That I would, because
Awesome.
I don't, want the responsibility
Right.
of because
Keeping
it's
up
not,
with it all the
it's
time.
not a rental house.
No,
it's
I
not,
understand.
It's not a rental house, but my daughter can come if I have a cousin or something.
You have a place for them to stay.
I have a place for them.
Without them staying here.
Yeah, I was fortunate to be able to do that. And I feel very comfortable still, even though the neighborhood has changed considerably, I still feel very comfortable having a vacant house there that I can
It's
go.
being maintained.
But I'll probably go by there every other day.
Just so you know.
I still have good neighbors there.
Awesome. They're keeping an eye out.
Yeah.
Right. Beautiful.
Somebody who cuts the yard
And so, do you have any tips as we finish up here?
Oh,
100. You've been talking for an hour, man.
oh, how about, gosh, that's
And so,
too long.
no, it's not. It's so entertaining. And just so you know, people can pause and pick this up as many times as they want until they get the end of the story. I don't know if anybody's heard it. I surely haven't. And so this has been thoroughly entertaining.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, what is your word of wisdom about being like, you can say, well, I just kept on going on. Do you have anything to give the widow of encouragement on how to keep on keeping on?
Oh, gee, I don't know, except keeping on. I mean, I get up every day and I may not have a plan, but I get up, I get dressed, I try to continue with some type of a routine without it being a routine.
Okay.
I would never lounge around in my pajamas all day long. That is not the thing. I think moving here to the village has made it possible to participate in
Activities.
in a lot of things, even though I still have my car and I still drive around town. I don't go out of town anymore, mainly because my children would be horrified if I did. And I understand because as I say, I am 87 years old. But I would say it's very important to continue to have some sort of a routine, but not a routine.
I understand.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You need something.
Purpose.
You need a purpose. You need something to do. I try to go to church every Sunday. I try to participate in as many of the activities there as I can. I try to participate here in as many of the activities as I can. But I think keeping in contact with people and continuing to have some kind of a conversation, even though I'm sorry, folks, it may be the same conversation.
That's okay. They don't remember either.
They don't remember either.
No, they don't.
They don't remember either.
Yeah, that's right. They're like, this seems like we've had this, but I'm not really sure, so we'll have it again.
So that's
right.
kind of the way it is.
Yes.
So it's good.
So your quality of life has it? I don't want to speak in. Has your quality of life maintained or increased since you moved into the village?
Well, I would say definitely maintained, and probably I don't know whether it has increased or not. Because I was
Active.
I actually moved here a year before I really had intended to. My name had been on the list, and I knew that eventually I was going to move to the village. But this apartment became available, and it was on the first floor,
Which is high demand.
Yes, and I knew that first floor apartments do not
Move quickly.
And I was not ever going to do anything but a first floor.
Right.
So consequently, I
Your timeline moved up.
Yeah, my timeline moved up.
Mhm.
So I've been here a year in October.
Okay,
This year.
okay.
I came here. So I still have my house, as I say. It's still furnished.
So if he passed away 20 years ago, you're saying you've been a widow for 20 years?
Yeah.
You
basically.
lived there 19 years maintaining that house.
Yes.
And you never remarried?
Never remarried, never considered it.
Never even considered it.
Really didn't, there were
A few
yeah,
suitors?
early on. No, there wasn't anything. I just was not interested.
Hey.
And
This is what I'm curious only because, not about my age, but I see more of this. My grandmother was a widow for 23 years. I never even thought of her dating somebody else. She's always seemed secure in herself, and she had served her husband, and she said, I want to travel, I want to do my own thing. And she did that. And so, but I have heard widows say that they feel lonely. And so, how did you not get lonely in those years?
well, number one, a lot of that goes back to the neighborhood I lived in.
Right.
It was a family.
Yes.
I mean, the Blocksmans were on my patio, or I was on their patio. I mean, they came down to because I had a patio attached to the house, and as long as Bud could walk through the yard, they more often came
To
down
you.
mine because I also had a wonderful shade tree there.
Mm.
So we could sit on my deck
Mm-hmm.
in the afternoon and have plenty of shade, whereas their deck had more sun. So, I mean, the neighborhood, there was Charlie and Jean Lupton, even their house was up on the corner,
Mhm.
but Charlie was at my house 5 out of the 7, I mean, even when my husband was there, well, more when my husband was living because he came to see Bob. But Betty and Jack Smith were next door, and the whole neighborhood lived as a family.
Wow.
So, yes, after Bob passed away, I was alone, but I wasn't alone.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yes.
My neighbors were
You had support.
My neighbors were so much a part of my life
That's awesome.
that the children. Yeah, it was just.
Well,
yeah,
what I hear
yeah.
from this is community matters.
It
Okay. She invested in the early years, and it may have said it wasn't anything any of us thought about doing. It just was. Like, everyone did things together. I remember that in my own childhood, we had cover dishes on a regular at church. And so there was this gathering, so much gathering. And I believe that it has waned some, especially with COVID.
did that a lot.
It
yes.
separated us, and then new patterns and routines started happening. And I think we're kind of trying to get back. Yes, thank you. And so here, what I want to just encourage you with is that she didn't really have to go out and make new friends. She had these friendships, and they continued after her husband passed, to the point that she felt safe in her home. She had community, and life just kept on. You had developed some daily things that helped you on the back end of this to continue to grieve with grace and a smile on your face. That's what I like to say.
Yeah. Well, having grown up, as I said, on a farm, and it has affected me, but you need to do something. I'm speaking for myself now. I needed to do something. I cannot
sit still.
Now if you look in that room, you'll see a puzzle going.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm sitting there working on the puzzle,
Mm-hmm.
or
You're keeping your mind active.
I need to do something.
That's good.
I have to do something.
Yes. That's what keeps you alive. I really
It
believe
does.
it's keeping you alive. There's purpose, even like for a puzzle. But it's that if you keep waking up and you're like, well, what does today matter? Or it can get kind of negative.
Oh, you can.
For people who are alone.
And that's another thing. You can be around negative people too that affect you.
Okay.
And sometimes.
And you can choose not to be
Or you
around
can
them.
choose. Thank you. Or you can choose not to be around negative people. And I think it does have an influence.
Yes.
On you.
On your outlook on life.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, everybody can find something
To complain about.
But what are you going to do about it?
What does it benefit you?
If you can't do anything about it?
Right.
But maybe you can do something about it.
Right.
Maybe there is a solution to that.
Right.
So I think mentally, it's your own attitude.
Yes.
You can choose to be happy, or you can choose to be sad or unhappy, or whatever the negative is.
Yes.
But that's your choice.
Well, I believe that there's faith here, and the people with the most resilience seem to have a deep faith, and so she's found the consistency. Like she said, she stayed committed to her church. She stayed committed to her community, your family, and then she had the means to be able to keep her home and move in, and moving can be very stressful, but you were able to not have to sell your home when this fell into your lap a little sooner than you were planning, and now you're here, and while you're still completely mobile. There was no, you know what I'm saying, like some people break something, or you have to move in because a situation happened. You got to move in your own
on your own time. On your own
Thank
time.
you.
But being mobile is very important. I will have to admit, I kind of work on that. I know, as I tell my children, when I plan the fall, I'll let you know.
I like that. That's
Otherwise,
good.
just know it's an accident.
Yes.
That I really didn't plan this.
Right.
But fall is an accident. I know that I can get up from here and walk across the room and trip on that chair over there.
That's good.
But I know that
You're working hard on that.
But I try. I do make a conscious effort of trying to pay attention to where I walk and what I do, because that fall can change your life.
That's right. And my aunt, she fell and she did have dementia, but she was gone 10 days later. So the fall may have been the catalyst, and sometimes that's God's mercy, to be honest. When people are suffering,
maybe
sometimes it may feel to us to have been a sudden change, but the more I am around death and people passing, I kind of feel like there's some creative ways, and sometimes I wonder if these people are praying, Lord, take me, and they find a way, the Lord finds a way to send you on home. And so there's mercy even in the passing, and that's not everyone's understanding, but I think that, I say it's a reward if you get to enter victor's crown. And to be absent in the body is to be present with the Lord, and that's really the safest, purest place we will ever be. And I actually wrote a song, Judy, about my grandmother passing, and after, but it's called Sinking Sand, actually. But I got this picture of there being this kiss on the hand, and this moment where I told my aunt, and we'll finish here because this has gone long, that the 2 days before when I was sitting with my grandmother and kind of just telling her she can go, and saying goodbye myself. Yes, and I told them, I said, I feel this impression that she just doesn't want to she wants somebody to hold her hand. She doesn't want to go alone. She wants to be held, basically. And that, so that was, let's see, if that was in 2000, I would have been 39 when that happened. And so I got that impression, and I was happy to hear my dad tell me that my aunt was holding her hand, and she passed at like 5 in the morning and took her final breath. And so in that processing of this, I got this picture of like this gentleman, basically, not that I this form of a person that like my aunt's holding her hand, and then he takes her the rest of the way. And that she got this, like, almost looking into this man's eyes, and it's like, it's always been you. Like, I've known you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thankful that as a granddaughter, there's been these impressions that have really marked me to not fear death, and to realize that to enter into eternity where the good Father is a good day for the one who enters it.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though there's this tension that we don't want to let go of them or live life those days after, we still have them in our heart. And that I kind of wonder sometimes if what they're doing in our behalf from that side. Because some things have happened in my life that I just don't think would have with them here, if you know what I mean. And so that's made me even more curious about sometimes when our loved ones may go sooner than we had hoped. The things that happen in our lives after, it almost feels like they wouldn't be able to, that domino wouldn't be able to tip the next domino and the next domino. And sometimes it feels like things move up, if you know what I mean. In the timeline, things kind of move up. And so we have to stay expectant, y'all. We have to stay ready. And so I just have to thank you, Judy. This has been so good. And I'm the one drinking the water. She's talking the whole time. And please comment below. It is just such a pleasure to hear stories. We had not really met before. Maybe I had seen her in passing. But to take the time to hear how people in this community developed and grew businesses to the point that they're now on a national and an international level is an honor. It's an honor to hear it. And that's why I have to continue to do these things. I'm kind of knocking on these ladies' doors and like, I don't have anything to say. I said, absolutely not. I don't believe that. And then here you hear what feels familiar to just her story, but I haven't heard it. And it's inspiring. It's and it's encouraging, and this is a legacy story. So thank you. We'll see you next time. We're coming into November, y'all. Holiday season is around the corner. She said shop local. Actually, shop local weekend is in November. I could kind of think like the third weekend or something like that. But downtown Franklin has bags with shop local. Be on the lookout. Follow those different websites on Facebook about downtown Franklin. There's different ones that let you know what's happening by weekend. There's a lot going on here in the city of Franklin and Southampton County for you and your kids. Things that are free. We've got the corn maze right now. There's the pumpkin. There's a lot of different things happening for our kids. Stay tuned for more. See you next time. Bye.